So Jewish sovereignty has, been achieved in part, but that Jewish sovereignty isn't fully Jewish, and that's part of the discussion that we have here. And this leads people to ask questions of, well, did we really achieve Jewish sovereignty? Did we really get to it? Is this state that? And people become disappointed. And I think to myself that this is very much at the heart of what I like to call religious post-Zionism, which is, post-Zionism by secular, it's the concept that we've achieved, the creation of the state of Israel. Now what? Let me just go off to India and there's no more importance to this thing. I did it and I'm done. In religious terms, post-Zionism is when I created a country. We created a country. God has brought us back, yes, but it's not what it really. It's like a nefel, as we say in Hebrew, like a stillborn. It really didn't achieve its Jewish goals. It was supposed to be a temple country, and it didn't happen. So therefore, the whole thing is like an aborted enterprise. Maybe it just didn't work out. Maybe we should just forget it. And in a sense, here again is the question: is the state of Israel important today? Or is it kind of a failed experiment?
Well, let me ask you a question. Simple question. If I put on tefillin, okay, and then eating treif, God forbid, eating pork, did I fulfill the mitzvah of tefillin or not?
I guess you did.
Obviously, I did, right? Now, eating pork with tefillin on the head is an amazing thing, but technically, somebody can do that, right? So he will have his plus in heaven of fulfilling the mitzvah of tefillin, and minus of eating treif. It's the same thing here. Israel, there is basically Jewish sovereignty on Eretz Israel under the Israeli flag. Most of the people here are Jewish. You can't run away from reality. It's problematic. They're eating porks. They're doing many worse things than that. They're trying to erase the Judaism of the state. This is exactly what we're fighting for. But, throwing away the bathtub, spilling away the bathtub together with a baby is a big mistake, which unfortunately many good Jews doing.
Now, what makes Israel Jewish? We had the option of making Israel in Uganda, but the things that make Israel Jewish is the Jewish homeland. That's why it was decided to do it in the land of Israel, to create the state in the land of Israel. And it's pretty obvious to us now, but it wasn't so obvious then. And then from the years 1948 to 1967, places like Beit Lechem, Hebron, Bethlehem, Beit El, Shechem were not in our hands, and most of the holy places in Yerushalayim were not in our hands, like the Mount of Olives and certainly the Temple Mount. They were out of reach. And suddenly 1967 was this day of real revelation. Some would argue that it was probably the greatest revelation of God in 2,000 years. Was the 6-Day War, right, really just like the biblical account? People will run from you, and you will be victorious. Now we have a process where our state is now fighting us, pushing us to do crazy things, to give up those places that are really the essence of Israel: Hebron, Har HaBayit, the Temple Mount, the Mount of Olives, which is practically under Arab control. And now we see Abu Mazen is calling again and again for East Jerusalem to become the capital of a Palestinian state. They want territorial contiguity from Beit Lechem to Ramallah, and they want to create an enemy state there. And our country seems to be pushing in that direction. So how do we deal with that? How do you explain that? And how do we get back onto a road of sanity?
The reason why it happens is not the Arabs. It's not Abu Mazen. It's not a pressure from the United States or from Europe. The reason why it happens is because the small minority of the leftists, those who really don't want Israel to be Jewish, will do everything they can in order to avoid it. And they realize that when good Jews who believe in God and fulfill Torah and mitzvot, going and sitting on the heart of the land, on the biblical sites of the land, as you mentioned, Kever Rachel and Shechem and Me'arat HaMachpelah, the cradle of the Jewish nation, those territories who carry the most, the strongest Jewish identity at them. When you're standing on the Temple Mount, you can't forget that you are Jewish. When you going into Me'arat HaMachpelah, you cannot forget who's buried over there. Okay, your fathers and your mothers. So this minority of Jews, that their Judaism is too much of a weight on their shoulders, want to get rid of it, have to feel that they have to get rid of these territories. It only proves, I would say from the other way around, what I said before, that Israel is a Jewish state, but we have a battle over here against those who wants to make it not Jewish state. It's